There was a time in America when power didn't come from software or screens. It came from steel frames, oil-stained hands, and machines that shaped cities before highways even existed. In that era, the name White wasn't just a company name. It meant reliability. It meant industrial confidence. It meant a nation learning how to move itself forward. Long before Detroit became the symbol of American manufacturing, Cleveland stood at the heart of industry. Along Lake Erie, factories breathed smoke into the sky, and the sound of metal echoed through neighborhoods like a constant heartbeat. This was a city where machinery wasn't just built, it was respected. And at the center of that world stood the White Sewing Machine Company, a family enterprise already known for precision and mechanical discipline. They understood how to build things that lasted. But one member of the family wasn't satisfied with perfect stitches and smooth seams. Roland Henry White was drawn to a different machine, one that was still unpredictable, loud, and often frustrating. Early automobiles fascinated him, but they also disappointed him. Steam-powered vehicles could move, but they demanded patience. Long warm-up times, unstable pressure, and the constant sense that something might go wrong made them feel more like experiments than transportation. Instead of walking away, Roland focused on the problem itself. In 1900, he patented a new kind of boiler that would quietly change the future of steam vehicles. Unlike traditional boilers that stored large amounts of heated water, his flash boiler produced steam almost instantly. Startup times dropped dramatically. Control improved. Safety increased. It was the difference between boiling water for minutes and turning on a machine that was ready when you were. This single idea transformed steam cars from curiosities into practical machines. And suddenly, White wasn't just participating in the automobile world. It was shaping it. In the early years, White automobiles still carried the visual language of the carriage era. High seating positions, open bodies, and elegant shapes reminded drivers that cars were still learning how to look like themselves. But with each new model, the company refined its approach. Their steam cars became known for smoothness rather than speed, for quiet confidence rather than mechanical drama. They appealed to buyers who valued effortlessness. Then came moments that pushed White into legend. In 1905, a White steam vehicle set a world speed record, proving that steam was not slow, just misunderstood. And when the White House selected White automobiles as official service vehicles for U.S. presidents, the brand received something no advertisement could buy: trust. You don't place uncertainty behind the most powerful office in the country. For White, this recognition felt like confirmation that they belonged at the top of American industry. And that belief shaped every decision that followed. By the late 1910s, the automotive world began shifting in ways White could not ignore. Ford was transforming transportation into something affordable and mass-produced. Luxury manufacturers were refining gasoline engines into symbols of power and status. Meanwhile, fuel infrastructure was changing, and steam began to feel like a technology from yesterday. White faced a choice that many companies avoid until it's too late. Instead of fighting a market that was moving away from them, they walked away from passenger cars entirely. It wasn't failure. It was strategy. White chose to focus on machines that built America rather than machines that showed it off. Trucks became their future. As roads expanded and commerce grew, the country needed durable vehicles that could haul, build, and endure. When World War I erupted, White was ready. Thousands of White trucks rolled through mud and snow overseas, carrying supplies through conditions that destroyed weaker machines. Every mile they survived reinforced White's reputation without a single marketing slogan. By the time World War II arrived, White had evolved again. The company became a critical military manufacturer, producing armored scout cars and half-track vehicles that balanced mobility with firepower. These machines weren't elegant, but they were dependable. They performed under pressure, and they saved lives. White earned recognition not through words, but through output. When the war ended, White stood tall, experienced, respected, confident, perhaps too confident. The post-war years taught American corporations a dangerous lesson. Bigger seemed safer. Expansion felt like protection. White embraced that idea aggressively. Instead of refining a single strength, the company began acquiring everything connected to productivity: truck brands, agricultural equipment, engine manufacturing, mining, and construction vehicles. On paper, each deal made sense. Together, they created a sprawling empire that was difficult to manage and expensive to maintain. Sales climbed rapidly, revenue numbers looked impressive. But beneath the surface, debt grew faster than stability. Some of these new industries operated on completely different cycles, required different expertise, and served entirely different customers. The company became complex, heavy, and slow to react. When economic conditions tightened in the 1970s, that weight became a liability. Rising fuel prices, inflation, and stricter regulations hit the heavy-duty truck market hard. Fleet buyers delayed purchases. Margins shrank. For a company carrying massive debt, every slow quarter felt like suffocation. White tried to restructure. Leadership changed. Financial adjustments bought time, but not confidence. Market share slipped quietly as customers sought stability elsewhere, and eventually, the math stopped working. In 1980, White Motor Company filed for bankruptcy. Not because trucks no longer mattered, not because America stopped building, but because the company had grown too wide to support itself. What followed wasn't disappearance, but dismantling. The truck operations continued under new ownership. Other brands found new homes. The machine survived, even if the corporation didn't. White Motor Company didn't fall because it lacked engineering talent. It didn't fall because it lacked demand. It fell because ambition outran focus. Because expansion replaced discipline. Because building an empire became more important than protecting the core that made the empire possible. Sometimes the most powerful decision a company can make is knowing when to stop growing. White never learned that lesson in time. If you see this story as more than history, as a reminder of how easily success can turn into excess, then stay with the channel. Because America's industrial past isn't gone. It's just waiting to be remembered.